gotta be kidding me. Where are you sitting on the tour? That is funny. How did you pick up on
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Epson Tour podcast. This is Dream Chasing. I'm Carly Haynes, your host, and today we have a special guest. He is the person that makes this whole dream stay afloat. So please welcome the one and only Jody Brothers.
Thank you. It's good to be on the show.
I'm glad that you're here.
And I don't think I keep it afloat. I think Epson keeps it afloat.
Yeah, probably. A little bit of your backstory just growing up. You grew up in Chico, California, and you played racquetball and originally got recruited to play at Chico State for racquetball, but then you kind of fell into the golf. So how did that all happen?
Yeah, so the backstory there is I would split my time kind of 6 months focused on racquetball, 6 months focused on golf in the summertime, and I would play mostly racquetball tournaments. I actually ended up at Sacramento State to play racquetball. My freshman year, we won the national championship. It was great, but I just had this burning desire. So I walked onto the golf team at Sacramento State. I ended up making the team as sort of a red shirt walk-on, got to practice with the team. Chico added a team, which was my hometown, and I was able to go back and play. And I was like, I really wasn't that good at golf at that point, but I was getting a lot better. And so Chico State offered me that opportunity to go and immediately be able to play and continue to improve. And growing up in a college town and being able to return and have a college experience, I always wanted to get away, but the golf opportunity, the opportunity to get back and really enjoy it. And I loved my D2 golf career, very uneventful D2 golf career.
Awesome. Very nice. And did you always grow up playing as a kid?
Yeah, it was, most people don't know that looking at me now being 5'11" or 6 feet tall and weighing what I weigh, but I was a really, really small kid. I was like 4'11", 85 pounds all through freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Oh my goodness.
So total late bloomer. Yeah. Golf was the one sport I wanted to get my letter. And so I wrestled as a freshman. That didn't go very well. So I was like, what other sport could I play where my size is going to have no impact on my ability to compete? And so I turned to golf, and my parents didn't play. I was totally self-taught. I ended up working at a Nevada Bob's golf and tennis store after school, I would go in and string tennis rackets and regrip golf clubs and sell golf equipment on the side. That's how I funded my golf journey, and eventually it led to working at golf courses, which led to this incredible 40-plus year career I've had in the golf space.
Awesome. Very cool. Even though you say your D2 experience wasn't that good, you still went on to play in some of the smaller mini tours for the men's side. So what was that grind like, and how did those experiences really shape your understanding of being on the Epson Tour now?
Yeah, it was really formidable for me. Chico State canceled our golf team my senior year, so I only got to play a couple of years of competitive college golf, and then I slid into an assistant pro role. That's when I really got pretty decent at the game, and some members gave me a little bit of money to go kind of pursue this dream I had to play competitively. And I would say when I interviewed for this job a little over 3 years ago, that was the moment that impacted my desire to run a developmental golf tour, because I remember this instance. I was playing the Dakotas tour. We were in Watertown, South Dakota. The format was 2 days of Pro-Am, then a couple of days of individual tournament play, and the Pro-Am counted towards your tournament score. And I get paired up with this guy who owned the local, I think it was a Dairy Queen or A&W. I have to really think about the story, but regardless, you know what kind of food that is, fried. And
yes.
But I was so broke that he gave me his business card and he said, look, my name's on the back of this. Anytime all week long, if you want to pop into my store, we'll feed you. It's not going to cost you anything. And so I did. I mean, I literally ate lunch and dinner at this place every day during the week. And so I feel like having walked in those shoes of understanding budgeting and trying to find sponsorship revenue and getting support to play, where do you play in practice when you're at home? Where do you call a home base? Where, how do you pay for a coach? All those little things that I did in that year and a half of trying to pursue the game professionally, I think really impacted the way I approach running the Epson Tour, and that combined with all these different jobs I had at 16 years at the PGA Tour, sort of all pointed towards this dream opportunity I have to steward this incredible tour and be as one of our athletes' parents calls me, the dad to 290 something girls on the Epson Tour. So it's been incredible. I can't believe it's my 4th season already, but it's been an incredible run.
Awesome. And like you have mentioned, that you spent 16 years climbing the ladder at the PGA Tour. So what was the moment of realization that made you say, the Epson Tour is really where I can make my biggest impact? Yeah,
I think like you look at the jobs that I did at the PGA Tour. I started in our club, the TPC network. So I was managing a club. We happened to be hosting a Korn Ferry Tour event. It was the nationwide tour back then. First year, we had a tournament director, and she technically reported to me, and I was involved in the event, but very much on sort of the outside. But I was really intrigued by the approach and the journey of the athlete at that level. And I mean, this is a really high quality of play, and obviously these players are immensely talented. And she left after the first year, and they were like, "Well, let's hire somebody else." And I'm like, "No, let me do it. I want to like run the club and run the tournament." And so that was sort of my first experience in professional golf at that level. Then I went on to become tournament business affairs. I worked in the office of the commissioner a couple of times, 2 different stints. And then the last 6 years I was in business development. And when I thought about this job, it really wasn't the reason the LPGA reached out to me. They reached out to me for a totally separate job. It was more on the business development and commercial side. And I was speaking to the past commissioner, and I said, "Look, I may or may not be interested in this job. It's really very similar to the job I'm doing at the PGA Tour." And she goes, "Well, I've got this other open position." And she walked me through the job, and I'm like, "That's it. That's the job I want." And I was like, from that point forward, it was like full steam ahead. And I mean, we interviewed the next week, and I was offered the job the week after, and literally went from, I think it was around the first part of December, I started talking to the PGA Tour, and by January 1st, I was already working for the LPGA. So it was a quick run. But I say all that to say all those jobs, whether I knew it at the time, sort of led me to this position, and I think that's probably a lot more at work than I had to do with.
Yes. So as someone who has seen both the PGA and LPGA sides of the industry, what is the biggest difference that you've noticed in how dreams are chased on the developmental level?
Yeah, I think for our athletes, look, it's very similar. Our leagues are established pretty. You compete, you do well, you finish at the top of whether it's the points list or the money list, however you qualify it. Obviously, for us, it's a points list. You go straight to the LPGA. I mean, the PGA Tour, obviously, they grant more cards to the Korn Ferry Tour. I think resources is the biggest issue. I mean, our athletes are playing for $250,000 a week, and the PGA Tour or the Korn Ferry Tour, they're playing for 4 times that, and that's heavily subsidized by the PGA Tour, and that's fine. They have the resources to do that. We have to be a little bit scrappier, and our athletes don't make as much money, but their expenses are pretty similar, and that's that's the tough part. So I also think too, it's whether it's unintentional or unconscious bias or whatever you want to call it, but when our athletes go to like visit a guest, maybe they're on the road and they've got a few days off and they want to play and practice somewhere, the awareness around the Epson Tour isn't as high as it is for the Korn Ferry Tour. So they end up saying, "I'm a Epson Tour, fully credentialed Epson Tour player, playing in a tournament next week. I'd love to play and practice at your facility if you'll allow me." And they just get told no. And that just burns me up, because if it was somebody saying I'm from the Korn Ferry Tour, they'd be like, carte blanche, here you go. There's a cart, there's our practice tee, go for it. I wouldn't say that universally. Some clubs are great to our athletes, but it's not as universal. So that's something that we need to really work hard at, is educating the golfing community about the Epson Tour and our athletes, so that they are treated equally. I don't think the athletes even need to, and they would want to. They don't need to make as much as the Korn Ferry Tour players. I think they just want to be treated the same as a Korn Ferry Tour would be treated anywhere that they go, and that's going to come. It's just going to take a little more time. Since
you've stepped into the role in 2023, the Epson Tour has grown dramatically in many different facets. And one thing is that Epson just renewed. So how do you think that the Epson renewal and the name of the tour staying the same is going to help in all of the athletes, feeling special ways and getting our reach out there?
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head. The continuity of not changing brands every 5 years to find a new sponsor was really important to me. It was important to Craig, as our commissioner, who was very invested in the conversations. Epson's been an incredible partner, so that continuity means a lot. I think more and more people will recognize the the Epson Tour, because of some of the things that are involved in this latest renewal. One is we get a couple of ad spots in every LPGA event that are like public service announcements that will run Epson Tour 30-second promos like a commercial spot. That's going to educate a pretty broad audience about who the Epson Tour is and the role that we play in the golf ecosystem. Epson really wanted to make the Epson Tour Championship a big deal. So we've changed the format. It's no cut. It's the top 80 players. If you're good enough to, after the penultimate event of the season, in El Dorado, the Murphy USA event, if you're good enough to keep your job for the next year and qualify for the Tour Championship, then you deserve to go play in that event. It's a no-cut event. Everybody gets paid. The winner gets $100,000. The first time in the history of our tour that we've paid to the winner of that level and that magnitude. And I think those little things will start to create more awareness about the tour. It's hard to promote this tour 20 weeks a year, but if we can take some moments of time and really knock it out of the park, I think the golf community will pay attention. Other small things, like I've been for a couple of years really badgering Golf Channel to put us on the ticker.
Right. They
deserve that, and thank you to Golf Channel for doing that now. And I get comments all the time. It's like, hey, it's cool to see your athletes on the ticker. Small thing, but it means a lot, because I think it gives our athletes pride that their name is on there as well. Yep. But it also educates a golf audience, a very intelligent, affluent golf audience, about who the Epson Tour is, and maybe when we come through town, they'll come watch our players.
The 2026 season is the 46th season of the Epson Tour so far, and we have 19 events, new tournaments, even some local qualifying rounds. So walk us through how the schedule and format changes were designed to not only benefit the tour, but benefit the players.
Yeah, I mean, average purse is something that we're always going to focus on. And look, I'm not going to be happy and content. I don't think I'll ever be content until we're playing for the same amount of money that the men are playing for. But getting us to a spot where playing the Epson Tour wasn't a one and done sort of deal. Like, hey, I tried it for 8 months. I ran out of money. I'm going to go find a job. We need to allow these athletes a few years to develop and grow. Some of the best players that I saw come through on my time at the Korn Ferry Tour, I'll use an example like James Hahn. James not a household name for a golfer, but he's won twice, and he won 2 really good tournaments. One was at Riviera. He spent 3 years on the Korn Ferry Tour developing, and I know him personally because we're both from Northern California, and he was playing out of the club that I was managing. And we need to provide that runway for our athletes to have a couple of years, which means 2 things. We need to grow purses so that when they play and win and make money, they make more so they can sustain the journey. But also we've got to keep expenses at a minimum. So the biggest changes that we've made over the last 3 years, when you talk about all the things that have changed, is we've really tried to restructure the schedule in such a way that we play in pods. So, for example, right now we're playing in Beaumont, the IOA Championship. We'll go from here to Scottsdale to Vegas to Southern Utah. So our athletes, I was talking to a bunch of them yesterday. A few of them flew into Vegas, rented a car, drove to Beaumont. They'll keep that same car, play the next 4 events. And Hurricane, Utah is only 2 hours from the Las Vegas airport. They can pick up the car and drop the car in the same location, which is less expensive than dropping it at an alternate airport. We're trying hard to make sure that these tournaments have host housing for the athletes. So everything that we can do, a dollar saved impacts everybody in the field. A dollar earned through purses impacts those who make the cut. So I'm equally focused on both sides of it. Right. And I think the team has done a really good job of working with our sponsors to try to restructure. I mean, we used to play in Florida. We'd come to California, and we turn around and go right back to Florida again.
Yeah.
And so now we have a swing in Florida. We have a swing in the Southwest. We have a great swing in Michigan. We've got a few others that we got to work on, but it helps us identify too new markets. Like we've got one event that's kind of an outlier up in the Northwest in Pendleton. So I'm working hard on a new event in potentially Spokane and another one in Seattle that will complement that event so that when our athletes do have to get in an airplane or take a really long drive, at least they get a couple of tournaments to play before they relocate to the next pod. So I think I'm, Tim and Fig and the guys that work in tournament business affairs and, working together, that's what I'm most proud of, is the way we've really sort of structured the schedule in such a way that makes a little bit more sense. And hopefully we'll keep improving that.
I have a question. I just thought
Yeah.
we can take it out if it's not allowed to be. Do you think that your main goal is to fix the schedule so there's certain swings in every area and keep it around 20 events, or would you rather add more events to the schedule, even if it doesn't work logistically?
So it actually is a really good question. I think the sweet spot for this tour is 21 events. If our goal is to identify the best 15 athletes to go to the LPGA, well, whether you play 21 events, 19 events like this year, or 25 events, I don't think the outcome is going to be all that different at the end of the season. But I want to play enough events so that the athletes can earn, but not so many events that it's like a big expense hurdle. And so one thing I pride myself on is that I've really tried to get to know athletes, and I want to have a really open line of communication with them. And so I ask them about their journey and ask them about how they fund this thing. And that's where I've sort of landed in my heart, knowing what the schedule looks like. And you're thinking about weather and can you play in Florida in February? Well, no, it's busy. Clubs don't want to give up their golf courts at that time. They really don't like giving up in March either, but the ones that we play are gracious enough to do that. Just having a better, and also I'll back up and say, a good number of our athletes come from a different country to here. So I think about these breaks in the schedule and do they have time to go home? Do they come back? So I landed on, in my heart, 21 event schedule. If they could play for $500,000 each week, that's the goal. That's my North Star for now. Then number 80 on the money list will make more money than she spent on travel expenses to play this tour. And I think that's a really important threshold for us and one that we're laser focused on achieving. So I don't know if I really perfectly answered your question, but that's how I think about that's how I think about the schedule and the role it plays in these athletes' journey.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it would ever, if you had the opportunity to add 3 or 5 more events and get up to more of the level of playing 30 plus events like the LPGA Tour, does that better prepare them, but maybe not so much because of the expenses?
Yeah, it may. And look, if I get to the point where we've got 24 events and they're all like $500,000 or more, and we've got a lineup of people wanting to add events to the schedule, I mean, it'd be a nice luxury for our athletes to have them pick and choose where to go. Right now, they kind of have to play all the events because they want to earn points. They don't want to miss the opportunity. It would be a nice problem to have, and I think we could cross that bridge. But what I'd rather do is work with our existing events to get them to grow.
Yeah.
And if they can't grow and they've maxed out and they've had a good run, that's great. But we've got to keep moving forward as a league and growing this opportunity. And I also recognize, too, that we play in a lot of markets that there might not be that one company that can write a $500,000 check.
Right.
So we have to find, as a league, to be able to keep playing in these really wonderful places like Harris, Michigan. I mean, that is a cool event. It's a great market, great fan support, awesome golf course. Look, at some point they're going to go, Jody, I can't keep growing this purse. It just doesn't make sense for what we're trying to achieve as a business by sponsoring the Epson Tour. But if I can supplement that because some other sponsor wants to kick in some cash, then we can keep going to Harris forever, and I'll be happy. The athletes will be happy because they love going there. And I think Tony and the team there would be happy to keep hosting as long as I don't ask him for $400,000 next year to keep running an Epson Tour event.
Took on interim responsibilities with the LPGA sales and sponsorships side. How does the success of the Epson Tour directly fuel the LPGA growth, and what are you most excited for as this season continues, now that your attention is fully back on Epson?
Yeah, it was Look, the experience of working with the LPGA team, I did it. Well, because I was asked, and that always. We had an interim commissioner. You know, we were going through a lot of change at the time. Craig had not yet been hired, and I was happy to take my experience from the PGA Tour and transfer it to the LPGA and sort of split my time last year. I also did it because I wanted the business development team at the LPGA to understand what the Epson Tour is and how important it is to the ecosystem of the LPGA and how we could potentially be included in big deals like the recent deal with Ford.
Yeah.
You know, there are elements of that deal that will very much benefit the Epson Tour. So I was a little selfish in taking that job, knowing that I would try to maybe implant some of our DNA with that team. And I'm happy to say the business development team, they're really good. They get it. They get what we're trying to do over here. Now that I don't have to do two jobs, I think I'm probably, if you ask the team that reports to me, they're probably like, wow, you weren't as engaged last year. I was still engaged, but like now I'm probably hyper engaged, right. And they'd probably rather see me back down a little bit. But I just, like, I have this renewed enthusiasm. I also think about like the finish line and at what point do I stop working? I'm not like a kid anymore. And so I have this window of time and I have this very clear vision of what I think this tour can be. And so I have this renewed enthusiasm to make sure that we achieve that before I get kicked out.
The race for the card on the Epson Tour is the ultimate scoreboard. What does it feel like on the final day of the Epson Tour Championship when those few cards are on the line? Any unforgettable moments you have from recent seasons? Yeah,
well, first of all, it's my favorite day of the year.
Yeah, you cry every time, right?
I'm getting choked up now just thinking about some of those moments. And Molly used to, like, I'd say to Molly when she was our commissioner, I'm like, just a warning, I probably will like get emotional during the ceremony. And she goes, well, it means you care, so no big deal. But I think when I think about moments, the last couple of years, like Ann Chen winning last year in like a 5-hole playoff. Yep. Was incredible. Epson was there, senior executives from Japan, and Keith was there from the Americas. He's our CEO, a very big supporter of what we're doing out here. And just to see that drama unfold and to solidify her in the top 15. Also, Sophia had played well all season long. She was guaranteed to go on to the LPGA, but she wanted that elusive win. That was a moment that was really cool. And then you back up a couple years before that, and Heather Lynn was 52nd or something like that going into the Tour Championship. The only way she was going to secure a car is if she won.
Yeah.
And she goes out and wins.
Right.
I mean, that's like a storybook sort of ending. So we've had some really good moments for the Tour Championship. And I think the way the point system is devised and having some extra points, for the Tour Championship, having an accelerator on the points to create a little bit more drama. But what's cool about that event too is it's not just the top 15. It's also up until, this coming up year, it's been, do I play myself in the top 80 to get category A status for the next year, which guarantees you all the starts up until we go to points list only at the last couple of events. It's top 125. It's like, do I have to go to Cuse? Do I go to second stage? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of other sort of sub-stories that are happening at that event, and I think it's a cool one. And I was glad to see Golf Channel out there last year covering it. You guys, as a content media team, do an incredible job of covering that event. We get LPGA support, so it's my favorite moment. And then the card ceremony itself is it's very produced, and Isaiah and Hunter put together an incredible video, and we've had, support from the LPGA team as a professional host, and to see these 15 athletes walk across the stage and shake my hand and Craig's hand, and somebody from Epson, as represented from Epson, to shake their hand as well, and then the kind of the party that unfolds afterwards. It's just a special moment. You have to be there to really understand it, but you also understand that it's a lifetime of hard work that's led to that.
Right.
Which is probably why I get so emotional, is because I know how hard and what sacrifices were made from parents to coaches to sponsors. Everybody's invested in these athletes, and the blood, sweat, and tears that these athletes have put into it all pays off at that moment. It's pretty cool.
We've seen some incredible stories, players like Nelly Korda, Lilia Vu, and so many others who have started their journeys on the Epson Tour and now they're stars on the LPGA. So is there any current or recent Epson Tour players whose journeys that you think really embody what dream chasing means to you?
Well, there's a ton, but one that really sticks out to me because she was a rookie when I was a rookie. And so I watched this unfold over the last 3 seasons. 3 years ago, we were playing our first time in Connecticut. New event, no volunteers. I get an emergency radio call saying, Jody, we need a riding scorer for like 2 or 3 holes. Just go out there, score, and then when we find a volunteer that comes off 18, we'll send them out to replace you. And I was like, hey, I'm here all week. I'd love to do this. Yeah. I kind of wanted to do all the jobs anyways. I was kind of fresh at the job, and I even caddied that year. I did a few things that were fun because I wanted to see the inner workings of how the Epson Tour worked. And it was Riley Smythe who was in the group. And I've been around golf for a long time, so I know what a good golf swing is, and I think I can understand what talent is, but it's more than just being talented. Obviously, you've got to have the mental game and the short game, and you got to putt and all that. And Riley goes and hits her tee shot on the first hole, and I was like, whoa, that's different. A lot of club head speed, really good contact, trajectory just looked really good. And then I would so I kind of followed her, and I would look at her scorecards, and I'd be like, okay, Riley shot 69 today, but she had 2 doubles and 7 birdies or whatever. Yeah. And so I'm like, if she could ever really tighten things up, I think she's got a chance because she putts it well, right. And she manages her game. She didn't manage it very well then, but she would. So I watched her the next year, and then she had trouble. She wasn't getting into events, so she was caddying for her friends. Yeah. Because she just wanted to be out here. She was first alternate every week, and it's just that torturous. Well, if I don't get in, then I'll just caddy for you guys on the weekend or whatever. And so she was caddying for her friends. But she had just this great spirit about her all the time, never was negative. And I think she was first alternate, first one out of the field multiple weeks in a row. Finally, last year, she gets good status. She earned her way. Once she got her opportunity to play, she did well. She got the right status. She got into every event. She won a couple of times. And now she's on the LPGA Tour. That, to me, just embodies what the journey in dream chasing is all about. Yeah. She didn't give up. She stayed positive. She kept working on her weaknesses. She managed her game better. She tightened up her wedges. Instead of making doubles, she turned them into bogeys, now pars. And the 69s and 70s and 73s turned into 65s, and she's winning golf tournaments. Right.
So what advice would you give to a player who's either grinding through Q School, Monday qualifiers, is just outside the top 15, and what kind of separates the ones from those who make it who don't?
I don't know that I'm qualified to give somebody advice as to how to break through, but I would say this: you need to surround yourself with a good team, and whether it's pride or lack of resources, sometimes athletes keep trying it the same way without seeing a different outcome, and that's why we try to do player development opportunities where we get, whether it's mental coaches, nutritional coaches, strength coaches, to come speak with the athletes from time to time. And so we're going to continue to provide those resources. And that's what I would say to an athlete out here is are you giving it everything? Are you taking advantage of all the tools that as a tour we're providing you? And is there something else that we can do for you? Is it a financial burden? Great. Let's figure out how we can help find you some sponsors. We're talking to brands all the time that want to invest in our athletes. And when I know somebody's got need, well, of course, I'm going to try to direct them that way if they want to sign a player as a brand ambassador, even if it's $5,000, $10,000, whatever the case may be. So what I would tell an athlete is come talk to us. Use us as a resource. Right. And what they've done to achieve this level of play. I mean, you were a college golfer. Yeah. It's amazing. They're incredibly talented, and sometimes it's that little edge is all they need. And we can help them unlock that with pointing them in the right direction or providing them a little breathing room from a financial perspective, because for sure. I know that a company like Reliance Matrix wants to sign a couple more players. Well, let's add them to the list of people that they should take a look at and talk to. that might make all the difference in the world. And we've got great partners. We need more. We're going to go find more partners, and hopefully that will create more opportunities for our athletes as well.
Awesome. And follow up from a business and operations side, how do you and the team try to create an environment where players can, fully focus on their dream and not the financial burdens?
Yeah, so that comes from trying to find more money for purses, right, and also lowering entry fees. Our athletes pay a $350 entry fee each week, and it used to be $500. So thanks to Epson, Accenture, and Reliance Matrix, we've been able to reduce that a little bit. We're going to continue to work on that. So providing financial relief is always going to be important.
How do we as a team try to create an environment?
Yeah.
I think it's more so like, how do, we want the athletes to come to us, but how do we foster an environment where they feel safe coming to us?
Yeah. So, we had a player meeting last night, and I tried to make it could I have communicated everything in that player meeting through a memo or an email or something like that? I could have. Part of the reason that we do those in person from time to time is I want them to get comfortable with us so that they can reach out when they need to. But I think the most important thing that we can do too is I don't want to just graduate players to the LPGA through the Epson Tour. I think we want them to get out there and stay.
Right.
And so it's incumbent upon us as a league to replicate as closely as possible the LPGA experience. So our rules officials are setting up the golf courses as close as we can to LPGA conditions. We want to, all the rules that we use, all the fines, it's a smaller number, but it's for the same infractions. We try to get them as comfortable with the LPGA system as possible, which means that once they get there, hopefully the transition is not super difficult and they feel more comfortable and they can stay. So I think the simulation or the replication of the LPGA experience is a challenge that we have, and we don't have quite the resources, and the golf courses that we play, some do, but many of them don't have the size maintenance staff so we can dial it in agronomically. And so we have to sometimes set up the golf course slightly differently than the LPGA would. But I think over the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, even preceding me, there was a big focus on playing higher quality golf courses, and that's helped, I think, make the Epson Tour a good stepping stone for international athletes and for collegians to come through and get their path to the LPGA.
What is one thing that most fans or even players don't realize about what it takes to run the developmental tour of the Epson Tour every week?
I think, last night we started the meeting and we named every person that's on staff.
Yes.
I don't think the average player, they know the rules officials. They know a few people like yourselves, who work with them day in and day out. But when you list them all out, you start to see a staff of 23, 24, 25 people. There's guys driving the truck that they never see. Right. There's people behind the scenes, people in the office. There is 20-something employees of the Epson Tour, and then there's finance and HR and people behind the scenes that they never see.
Right.
I don't think people understand the magnitude of the tour and the size of the operating budget, which we want to grow, of course, through sponsorship. But I think they're astonished to see what it really takes to run a tour of this size, and that there's a lot of people that are doing this job to benefit them. And
right.
And so I think that's the average fan would have no idea that the team is this big.
Do you think that the average fan would also not really understand that we are a big team, but also kind of small and mighty?
Yeah.
And we have so many less resources than, LPGA or PGA?
Yeah, I think the average fan would probably, if we were open and transparent about operating budgets and the size of ours versus the Korn Ferry Tour or the LPGA, I think they'd be like, wow, you get a lot out of that budget. And I'm proud of the fact that we do that, and I'm proud of the fact that this team works really hard to benefit the athletes and our sponsors. I think the other thing too, I'm struck about the question is I don't think the average fan understands just how talented these athletes are. Yeah. I think when they play in a Pro-Am experience, they are blown away by two things. One is the talent of the players, how far they hit the ball.
Yes.
There's nothing better than to see the guy who thinks he hits it a long ways get humbled multiple times throughout the round. And I also think that they're blown away by how gracious these athletes are. Grateful to be playing the clubs that they get to play throughout the course of the season. Grateful for the volunteers. I'm blessed to be a member of a club that hosts I've always said that twice now, Epson Tour event. And so many of my friends who volunteered said, Jody, I was blown away. Like I'm over marshalling on the left-hand side of number 6, and the athletes are walking down the center of the fairway, and they would beeline over to me and say, thank you for being here. Thank you for volunteering.
Right.
Really appreciate it. And we've at the Atlantic Beach event every year, they've had more and more members put up open rooms in their homes to host the athletes because they've heard the reputation of the athletes being such gracious tenants for the week. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that the athletes understand that's part of it, that the sponsors need them to be not just great golfers, but great people, and that they represent the brand incredibly well. And the more that we can do that, the more we're going to grow this thing. So, the quality of the play and the graciousness and just the way that our athletes respect the journey and where they're playing and who they're with, I think is really remarkable. And I think people are struck by it.
I would agree with that. Looking ahead, where do you see the Epson Tour in the next 3 to 5 years, and any big picture dreams?
I don't mind saying it publicly because it's what drives me and hopefully drives the team. Look, 21 events, playing for $500,000 a week with an Epson Tour championship that's playing for more than that. I think that gives everybody a chance to have a journey that will allow them to sustain the momentum for 2, 3, 4 years until it takes them to get to the LPGA, or to decide that there's something else I want to do for a living, which is fine. Not everybody is going to make it. We have 292 athletes in this year's membership, and only 15 are going to the LPGA through the Epson Tour. Another handful will make it through Q Series. But I want them I want it to be not just a one and done sort of thing. I want them to have the opportunity to do that. And so I'm crystal clear with what our vision is. We've got to get purses up. We've got to get expenses down, continue to do that, so that these athletes have a real fair shake to do this journey. And I think if, 5 years from now, I can look back and we've achieved that, which is a big step for us. I mean, we're only halfway there.
Yes.
I'll be really proud of the effort that the team has put forth to do that. I also, because I'm so proud of the work that you guys do from a content perspective, I think the world needs to see the storytelling that you do through our social media platforms. And you guys are probably tired of me talking about YouTube, but YouTube and Instagram is the place where you can really storytell. And I would love to see those accounts get to, next step 100,000 followers. The step after that, 1 million is not unreasonable. I mean, it's a huge number, but around the world, you think about how many people follow golf and our athletes. We need to get there, and then the stories will be relevant and the athletes will be better known. So when they do transition to the LPGA, they'll be not quite household names, but they're on their way.
So we're in the second stretch of the season. You've been on site for every single event for some portion throughout this year so far. Are there any stories that, stand out to you, or players that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of talented players, and I think it's too early in the season to really make any predictions, but I think about those players who just missed last year or have been out here a couple years and constantly in that top 35, going straight to the final stage of Q Series and haven't quite broken through. Maddie McCrary sticks out as an incredible story. She is, if you know her, she's so reserved. I mean, she leads Bible study. She's just a really quality human being and a very popular player out here amongst her peers. She had not won yet, and she's played LPGA. She's been back. She's been close the last couple of years. And something about her this year is like, she just got married this week, last week, and she's out here playing again. But to see her win, and I wasn't there on Sunday when she clinched the victory, but I think she had a 2-shot lead going into the last hole. It's a par 5. She's got iron in her hand. I mean, everybody should hit it left of that pin and try to just make an easy 5 because you got a 2-shot lead. She had no idea Marielle was going to eagle the hole, so she had to make birdie after it was all said and done. But she just fires it at the flagstick and hits it 10 feet below the flag or 20 feet, whatever the number was. I mean, that was a gutsy shot. And to see her emotion, the fist pump, verbally, she let out some emotion, which is not like her. So I get emotional thinking about what was going through her at that time. It was so cool to see that. It's such a great job by, I don't know if it was Isaiah or Hunter, whoever caught the video of it, but that was staying on her after her hitting that shot and seeing that emotion. You could tell just how much it meant to her. Yeah. And then she had an easy 2-putt to win by 1. And then Marielle's putt goes, Sports Center top 10, which was incredible. So there was a lot going on at that event. I wish I was there to see it in person, but you guys did such a good job capturing. I felt like I was there.
Well, that's good.
I'm super proud of the work that we're doing right now, and I think I'm really proud of the fact that I think about the conversations I had with the athletes the first year, and it was like, wow, we're not communicating well. We're all over the place. We're not as organized as a team as I think we could be. And that's not a criticism of the job the team was doing. They had gone without a person in my role for a bit. And Mike had done a great job previously of getting the tour to where it is. I mean, more than half the events on the schedule are work that my predecessor did. Yeah. So obviously it was doing good, but now I think about the vibe out here. I mean, I can kind of hear the pro-am music going on. Like, it could become kind of a new tradition now. And just the general vibe of the athletes. Like, I don't get complaints anymore. I get some constructive feedback every now and then, mostly from the veteran players. But I just think people are really excited to be out here. And that energy I can feel it when we go out and when I walk the tee line or I go driving a cart around the golf course. And I just think we've come a long ways in a couple of years, and I'm proud of the athletes. I'm proud of the staff. The team has done a really, really good job of really sort of all pointing in the right direction. And it's obvious, especially a guy like me who's not here 7 days in a week. I'm usually here for 2 or 3 days, and then I pop at home and I'll come back out. And I just feel like I'm just really proud of the way the team is working right now.
Okay, now it is time for the rapid fire questions that I did not let you see beforehand.
That is true. I'm scared right now.
It's a mixture of some. Okay, so if you could tee it up in a dream foursome with any 3 Epson Tour alumni, who would you pick and why? Oh,
golly, I have to this is like asking somebody who's your favorite child. Natasha and Natasha Un, because it would be hilarious.
She's
and I am
funny.
Not Gen Z, but somehow we've had a really good relationship. Let's see here. Riley, especially if we're playing a scramble because she bombs it.
Yep.
Let's see who would be the third one in the group. I don't know. I love them all. I can't. I've already feel bad that I've singled 2 out. So maybe okay. Gabby Ruffles.
Okay.
Gabby was from my first year, so I'll always remember her being Player of the Year. And
very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What is one piece of advice that you would give any young golfer who's watching this right now, thinking that this could be them someday playing professional golf? Yeah,
I think. When I think about professional golf and the difference between playing really well as an amateur and a collegiate and professional, to me, it's short game. There is some really talented players who just never make it to the LPGA because they don't putt well enough or they don't chip well enough. And that would be the advice I would give any junior that asked me is like, I don't even care if you hit range balls at this point in your life. You should hit a few. You got to work on your golf swing. But spend twice as much time around the chipping green and on the putting green. That's where you're going to learn how to score. And that's the difference between that edge from a great collegiate player to a professional athlete that gets to the LPGA.
For sure.
Usually it's managing your game and your short game.
Okay. Would you rather spend a day as a caddy for an Epson Tour player trying to lock up her card, or spend a day as the rules official during a sudden death playoff at the Epson Tour Championship?
Ooh, I'd much rather be a caddy.
Okay.
I want to be in the arena.
Okay.
But when I caddy, which I have a few times,
Yes.
it's
Do you actually
show
caddy,
up.
or are you more
No,
of
it's
a...
well, actually, you know what? I do want to be honest about how I say this. I always say I'm just going to show up, keep up, and shut up.
Yeah.
But Sophie Houseman, when I have caddied for her, and it's usually because I lose a wager of some sort.
Yes.
And Team USA has let me down a handful of times now, and so she has very much involved me in the process, and she trusts me as a formerly decent player to give her some feedback, and I was happy to do it. But I said, look, I'm not going to volunteer. You need to ask me, and we've got a good working relationship, so I'm happy to contribute. But it's mostly around yardages and layups.
Just extra confirmation, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much extra confirmation. I don't do as well hitting like picking clubs, but if she asks me to like help her with one, I will give advice. What I encourage her is to be more aggressive, and that's I think a lot of our players lay up to a yardage, and I'm like, you're gonna make birdie more often if you're 40 yards from the green than because their short games are so great.
Yeah, for sure.
So yes, I'd rather caddy by far. Rules officials, I love the work those guys do, but I could never do that job.
Okay. What happens if you accidentally move your ball when searching for it in the rough?
Ooh, I call a rules official over.
Yep.
I think
Penalty, no penalty.
if it's accidental, I think it's no penalty.
Yeah. No penalty, and you can replace it.
That's right. It's been a few years since I passed my rules test.
In what year did the Wildcats nickname get adopted by the student body of your university?
Of Chico State?
Yes.
Oh, geez. I'm going to have to guess on this one. I'm going to say it was probably in the early 50s, 1952.
1924.
Dang.
True or false? Chico State is the second oldest campus in the entire California State University system.
I'm going to say true.
Yes.
Beautiful campus, by the way.
Would you rather wake up every morning in Chico, California for a year, or wake up every morning in Atlantic Beach, Florida for a year?
Ooh, I would say Atlantic Beach. I miss California. There's no doubt. Obviously, a family's there, but Atlantic Beach is home now.
Got
And I think I'll take the beach over the mountains.
Okay. Would you rather tee it up in a casual round with 3 of your old Chico State golf teammates, or with 3 current Epson Tour rookies who remind you of your younger self?
That is very specific. I'm trying to think of 3 rookies that remind me of my younger self. Hands down, like I love the guys I played college golf with, but I would so much rather tee it up with 3 Epson Tour rookies right now. Absolutely.
Okay, this one is funny, I think. Would you rather have unlimited range balls and practice time but never play another competitive round, or play competitive golf every weekend but never hit a single range ball ever again?
I hate practicing. I am 100% playing competitive rounds
That's
of
what
golf.
I thought you were going to say. I think anyone would probably choose that.
100%. We called it the assistant pro golf swing. You would go straight from like the pro shop to the first tee, take a couple practice swings, and
Yeah.
I'd hit this like big, like started down the left-hand side and cut it back to the middle of the fairway. It was like the one swing I knew I could make no matter how much I'd warmed up or not warmed up. And then I'd start to get loosened up and it would straighten out. But like I adopted that because I was constantly going from the pro shop straight to the first tee. So I don't care about hitting range balls.
Fair. Okay. Well, that is it. So thank you everyone for watching today. I hope you all enjoyed. And make sure you follow us on all of our social medias, YouTube included. Anything else you want to say?
No, well, thank you for this opportunity, and subscribe and like out there.